Our health segment today is sponsored by Massage Envy. Throughout human history, the symbol of fertility and femininity has been a woman's breasts. They are essentially functional for perpetuation of our species, but they also have this, force about them, kind of a sexual power that distracts, that can discombobulate, that can seduce men, but also to a degree, as we'll talk about, women. So until 2:30 in this part of the show we call Mind and Body, we are talking about the fascination that men and women have with breasts. Our two regulars for the segment are Drs. Amy Brodsky and Michelle Epstein. Dr. Amy, a board-certified dermatologist. Her practice is the Derm. She's got an office in Glenview and a new one in Park Ridge. Dr. Michelle, she's got a doctorate in clinical psychology. And why don't you like this show? The doctors have a Facebook page, facebook.com/Chicago Doctors. And here is our phone number now, 312-981-7200. This is, in fact, a serious topic. So, doctors, let me ask you point blank. Why do men like breasts? Why do they find them so arousing? And don't say, Bill, you're a guy, you tell us.
Oh, I can tell you why.
Okay.
Why do men like breasts? Because they don't have them.
So it's envy.
Envy.
Well,
And don't women supposedly envy a certain member of the male body as well? So
Yeah.
maybe one cancels the other.
Freud would say, but I don't think we have the same fascination with that part as we do with breasts.
Yeah.
I think that part of it has to do with the fact, if you think about men and women, the only sexualized body part that we're able to show,
Yeah.
flaunt a little
Or
bit.
tease.
Right, are the breasts. Men can't walk around showing off their parts in that same way. And a guy walks in showing off his chest at a bar, he would look ridiculous.
Now, it's funny because even a hint of what you're talking about, just a hint of cleavage can trigger a reflexive involuntary glance or worse.
It was cleavage. I couldn't look away. What am I waiting to win an Oscar here? This is all I have in my life.
Looking at cleavage is like looking at the sun. You don't stare at it. It's too risky. You get a sense of it, then you look away.
All right, courtesy
I love
Seinfeld, if you
that.
couldn't tell. Now, it's funny because there's research about this. Imagine research in this particular area where they do eye tracking, and they find that, without a doubt, the eyes don't lie. And men and women do look at a woman's breasts.
They look at a woman's breasts, they look at the body.
Hips.
Yes, and the last thing they tend to look at, the face.
Isn't
the
that
face.
the funniest thing? Now, I'll admit this. I can be embarrassed sometimes. I'm talking to a woman, and it is an involuntary glance down, and I get flushed because it's not sexual. I don't know what it is, why that sudden reflex takes
Hey,
hold.
Bill,
But
is it a glance or is it a stare?
It's a glance.
It's a glance.
I mean, it's disrespectful
It's
to do
okay to
anything more
look
than
at the
that.
sun, but you can't stare at
Yeah.
it.
So where does that come from?
I think it's sneaking a peek. It's sort of there. You're not really supposed to look at it. You got to sneak a peek.
Yeah, but that's almost prurient. I mean, you're saying it is a sexual impulse that's causing me to do that?
Well, I also think it's the curiosity, the unknown. Men don't have them. They weren't born with them. They always kind of are interested in looking at them. And they're round. People like to look at round.
But
It's kind of a sense of
Are you
calming.
insulted when a man stands before you and more than a fleeting moment stares at your chest?
I think it depends on what context. What do you think, Michelle?
Well, I think a man who is staring at your chest, that can get to be uncomfortable.
Okay, how about for 4 seconds, though? It's not quite staring, but it's longer. It's a lingering look that probably went on a little too long.
I think there's a contextual issue. If you're in the office and guys are glancing at you, that would probably make you uncomfortable. If you're at a bar and you're dressed in a way that you're showing them off, maybe you can enjoy that they're appreciating what you've got to show.
I say dress for success. So if you want to dress for work and you want to be successful at work, you dress the right way. If you want to go out and show a little cleavage, you'll be successful and that men will look at you.
Yeah, so you're using it. You're not manipulating men, are you? Because, I mean, obviously a woman can get some things done if she walks in and wants a job, say, and the guy happens to be one that has a weakness for certain alluring aspects of a woman's body. You can play that for an advantage.
Well, I think that's an interesting question. Does it make you more or less professional? I mean, if you're going to a professional interview and you're dressed with an open cleavage, I think that makes you a little less professional.
Could work against you. Could
Yeah,
definitely
but
work against you.
How about this, though? You work in an office, you've been there a year or so, you know the predilections of the boss, and then you play the advantage card there.
Happens all the time. Got to be careful, though.
Chris, you're on WGN Radio. Go ahead. Hi.
Yes, hi.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
I was just saying that it's more of a survival thing, like passing on the genes, more than, I mean, yes, it is. I guess it turns out to be a sexual thing, but it's more of the survival of the species.
Yeah, to perpetuate the species. So you're saying that the breasts are like a gateway drug? It's sort of the innocent little thing, but it's part of the whole package of ultimately being a sexual connection.
Yes, I
Let's see
think
if the mate will be good and healthy to pass on the genes for future generations to keep that going. I mean, we do so many things that we don't realize that we're doing chemically and physiologically that's probably going on at the same exact time, that it's just, automatic.
Bill, it's the natural selection. So we look at people and we look at breasts as a form of nurturing and fertility. And so if you're looking, if it depends also on your age. If you're a man and you're interested in having children and you're trying to bear children, then large breasts kind of speak to you. But as you get older, they may not actually speak to you. It's also, they looked at men who were hungry, and they noticed that men who were hungry liked larger breasts than men who were not hungry. I find that really interesting.
If I'm hungry, I'm going to be attracted to a larger breast?
Yes, while you're hungry. But if you're not hungry, you won't be.
Hooters hope so.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, you talk about exploitation of that
Right.
whole thing.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that really goes down there. Now, to me, that's a little over the line because they're flaunting that clearly in their marketing to profit by it.
And it's usually young women who are sort of
Yeah, but you talk to women like that, and they'll say, hey, look, I'm grateful for my shape. I don't mind flaunting it. I want to take advantage of it, and it means getting a job, getting some bigger tips. So be it.
And I think to some great extent, women should embrace that. That's powerful. Good for them for owning what they have and using it to their best interest.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But so do you have stories about when you were younger, let's say in your teens, and you were first becoming aware of your bodies and the response that men were giving you?
I'll let Michelle take that one.
I definitely recall a time. I remember when I was in college going into a professor's office hours to get some extra help and sitting at his desk working on something. He was standing above me, and I glanced up and realized he was looking down my shirt. And it made me extremely uncomfortable. It wasn't the right context. I was young and definitely not comfortable.
Felt violated.
It felt very uncomfortable.
But what was the lesson you learned from that? Dress differently when you're out in public under certain circumstances?
Well, interestingly enough, I am sure that I was not dressed to flaunt because at that point I didn't even think I had that great of an awareness of it, but definitely an awareness that component is there, that men are interested at glancing.
What about the woman, though, that is always tired because she has such large breasts and she can't hide them, and sometimes she wants to go to a party and wear nice little short dresses with skimpy, and she's just way too big. I mean, there's an aspect of self-consciousness.
Now, is that why some celebrities are actually having downsizing operations? Because what is the fashion trend changing to smaller?
Absolutely. I mean, just as though the economy is changing, bigger isn't always better, and I think now people are getting smaller houses, less fancy cars, so they're downsizing. A lot of celebrities, I think Heidi Montag decided to go smaller. Also, she's older, and she doesn't want to be looked at for her chest anymore. She wants to be hopefully looked at for maybe her mind.
Yeah. Well, that's part of it, is that when you are younger and you develop large breasts, that's a good thing. You want to take advantage of that and get people oogling at you. But when you get older, your attitude changes.
And I think it depends, because some women are physically uncomfortable, whether it makes their back hurt or whether they find they can't find clothes that fit, or people stare and they feel a discomfort. So, there's a big variance on how people feel about their own bodies.
Hey, Catherine, you're on WGN. Go ahead.
Okay, I went to Ireland and I went to kiss the Blarney Stone. I didn't know I had 92 steps to walk up, but I did. And then when I got there, you have to lay down and put your head down, and I'm built average. And I thought,
What happened?
So anyway, there were two men there with two blankets, big blankets. And I said, I'll take one of those. And the guy looked at me and he said, don't worry, honey. The only thing that's going to give me a thrill today is a glass of cold Guinness.
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Funny.
Okay. It is kind of
I
humorous.
thought it was funny.
Yeah. All right. I agree, Catherine. Pretty humorous. Thank you so much. Yeah, and, you know, I was not quite sure where she was going with that particular story. Hey, Rich, you're on WGN. Go ahead.
Hey, good afternoon to both of you, and Merry Christmas. I just want to say I'm 61 years old. As far as I can remember, my generation, most of the men or boys back then were breastfed. So I think that's the internalized attraction to women's breast. And then take it a step further, why do men, when they attack the breast, they always go for the nipple first?
I mean, that's an interesting theory. I'm not sure that kids know that they are being breastfed when they are being breastfed, but maybe there is some kind of a psychological component that relates to that. But whether or not, Drs. Amy and Michelle, it's that, there is still that mothering, nurturing aspect to it that certainly may be part of the story here.
It makes you feel calm. There's something about the breasts that are kind of like little pillows.
And certainly young children are aware of the fact that men and women look different. And again, they noticed that women particularly look different because even in our clothes we look different.
Right.
So
And
it
that's the
starts
one
pretty young.
distinguishing difference that
Yes.
can be
That's visual
only
to young
noticeable.
children even when we're clothed.
And then that, at that age it's curiosity, but later on when you go through puberty, then kicks in the hormonal response that suddenly
Absolutely.
makes it a sexual reaction rather than just going, oh, that's different. John, you're on WGN. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to voice my opinion. I agree with all that, but I don't know if the emphasis on breast is all that important. That definitely catches your eye, but it's the rest of the woman's anatomy that goes with it. Shapeliness, being thin, having long hair, nice hair.
All right, he's describing his ideal woman. John, yeah, that's true. I mean, it is not just that, but maybe it's because that's the first thing we see that's different, and it's part of the whole package, absolutely.
Hey, John, can I ask you how old you are?
He's gone.
Oh, I think it matters on how old you are. I think younger you are, the more you look at breasts. The older you are, you start to realize there's a lot more to a woman, and you look at everything.
But that everything is not just the physical aspects.
No,
it's those internal qualities that really are the ones that long-term relationships are based on.
That comes with the level of maturity.
It does. The physical is the initial attraction. And, we are kind of fighting our genes from the caveman era still today.
And the initial's chemical.
Yeah.
That initial physical chemical reaction.
No, I mean, you mean quite literally chemical. Things are
Quite
going on in the brain
literally,
that kind of
yes.
shade and suppress your rational side, and it's just the physical connection that you're making.
And that lasts for only so long, at which point you move on to a connection that's not just based on the physical.
Yeah. But it's a very interesting topic because we don't, frankly, hear this talked about too much on the radio, and we don't really think about it too much. And is there a field of study that researches this, or is it just part of the whole sexual research field when they're just trying to find out what it is that causes primal attraction between the sexes?
I think it's related to the primal attraction. There's a lot about how we find our mates and what goes on in terms of visually what we're attracted to, but there's things that happen to us, like we said, physically, and also body image. There's a lot of studies looking at body image and how women relate to how they look, and that makes them how they feel.
And women know there's this attraction, and that's why they have the implants, or I guess in some cases we were talking earlier, breast reduction.
Oh, yeah. Let's talk about self-esteem. I mean, women, as they get older and they breastfeed, a lot of times they want to get breast implants because it makes them feel better about themselves.
Yeah, it's a good thing.
It's a good thing, as long as it's not an unrealistic expectation.
Now, are they feeling better because they know men will find them more attractive?
Or are they feeling better about themselves?
Just looking in the mirror and just feeling that's a shape I'm happy with now.
I don't know.
That evolves over time. I think that you do care about attracting a mate, but then as women get older, I can talk about my friends. When you are with a mate, you've had your children, a lot more of it is about yourself. You want to look in the mirror and feel confident. And whatever that takes, whether it's implants or getting the right bra, working out, you want to look in the mirror and feel good about yourself. And so I think it's empowering that women have choices.
I'm enlightened. Thank you very much, Drs. Amy Brodsky and Michelle Epstein. Thank you both very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.